Summer Solstice 2024, written, directed, and produced by Reverend Dr. Dikki Jo Mullen. In this video, Dr. Mullen will look at the implications of this summer's solstice for each of the zodiac signs going forward throughout the year. She will talk about the elves, fairies, gnomes, and leprechauns that may emerge at different times during this midsummer period when they are most active, and she will talk about the implications of the sunflower as it relates to this particular summer solstice. Now we will listen to Dr. Dikki Jo Mullen.
Hello, stargazers. I'm astrologer and paranormal investigator Dikki Jo Mullen, coming to you with some special thoughts about a special day, Midsummer's Day, or the summer solstice. It's the shortest day and longest night of the year and marks the beginning of the summer season. Astrologically, there's a special horoscope done for the moment that the summer solstice occurs. It's called an ingress chart. And what it does is it reveals what the whole summer season ahead means until September 23rd, when the new season of autumn begins. The solstices, the winter and the summer solstice, midsummer and midwinter's day, and the equinoxes, the first day of autumn and the first day of spring, mark cross-quarter days in an ancient calendar called the Wheel of the Year. Calendars tie in with astrology. We have the Native American zodiac, the lunar year or the Chinese zodiac, and the Vedic or the astrology of the Middle East and India is another, and there are other calendars, older ones, Celtic ones, and so forth. They're all about looking at how the cosmos affect the world around us. And they're also called liminal days, when the world and the environment between this everyday waking reality and other states of consciousness, other dimensions can open. If you've ever read Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream, there's a hint about how on Midsummer's Day, the shortest day of the year, shortest night of the year, and longest day of the year, is sacred to the wee folk, the little people. There's Oberon, the king of the fairies, Tatiana, Puck, and all the other fey creatures. Today we see them as gnomes and elves, and they've always been with us, leprechauns. They're just as popular as ever. And that may be something that you notice if you're aware of Midsummer's Night. It's also a time period when special flowers and plants related to the brightness of the summer season are recognized. Looking at the horoscope for this summer solstice of 2024, which will be June 20th, 2024 at 4:51 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, that reveals what we can expect in the world and in our own lives all the way up until the autumn equinox. Remember as a child how everyone looked ahead to the summer, last day of school. It seemed to go on forever. As time passes, the summer might seem shorter, and sometimes I wonder if time really does move at a different pace or different rate. One of the mysteries and magics of Midsummer's Day is that 1,000 years can pass and it'll seem like it's just overnight to somebody, being kidnapped. The tale of Rip Van Winkle kind of gives us an idea of how that might work. Well, looking at the summer solstice chart for this year of 2024, again, this is how life will be for all of us until September 23rd, and there's a new cycle between June 20th and September the 23rd. The Sun, Venus, and Mercury are all in the sign of Cancer. This profoundly affects home and family life. There'll be a lot of interest in real estate, the price of real estate, and housing, affordable housing, available housing. In some parts of the country, there may actually be more housing available and an improvement. In other areas, the housing situation could become more grave and more dire. Neptune is in Pisces. It was the sign of the fish, and Neptune is related especially to the sea. That, combined with the Cancer planets, shows that rising water levels and the ecology of the ocean can be extremely significant, and there may be some problems with flooding and with the quality of water to deal with. Saturn, the health planet, is located in the sign of Pisces, and it's square the moon with a small orb, which is a tense pattern, and it indicates that there can be some health issues continuing with which medications, helpful prescription medications, are good for us, which are not. There may be some new ones developed. There could also be more scandals about impure drugs and drug abuse, even more than usual. It doesn't look like that problem is going to lessen at all. The moon is in Sagittarius, which represents the general public, the person in the street, most of us in an ingress chart. The meanings of the planets change somewhat from when you're reading a personal horoscope. And the moon in Sagittarius shows great restlessness. More and more people might be talking about moving and on the go, and also overseas travel. The sign of Sagittarius shows an attraction to faraway places, kind of the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. And there are a lot of expatriates, more and more. Here in the United States, of course, we're blessed in that so many people want to come here, and immigration here, the situation at the border is accented. But I have found in my practice as a professional astrologer, it's amazing how many expatriate communities there are in different countries and how many people want to leave the United States. I just had somebody very interested in moving to Australia recently, and I look at the horoscope of that country. Countries have horoscopes. We celebrate July 4th, for example, and Canada celebrates also a Cancer, a July birth date, and so forth. Mexico has a special tie with the sign of Capricorn, and other countries have different ideas. People will be very interested in that, and also connecting with groups of other Americans, other expatriates, whether it's in the United Kingdom or Spain, which also has a large expatriate community. Just very interesting. The sign of Sagittarius especially relates to Latin American culture. And of course, becoming a bilingual country is something that's really accelerating here in the United States. And living in Florida, you almost have to speak at least some Spanish to get around even a little bit. And signs and directions for things are in Spanish. I think that's going to continue with the Sagittarius moon in this chart. We have Pluto retrograde on the cusp of Aquarius. Pluto only changes signs once every 20 years approximately, and it's never in modern times been in Aquarius. It takes that long to make its orbit around the sun. And we're seeing many profound changes in society. Because it's retrograde, these might be delayed during the summer, but they're still very much there. The prophecies of Nostradamus, the book of Revelations, Edgar Cayce, and other prophets are coming true every day. And this is going to continue during the season ahead. With Pluto retrograde, there might be a delay and some lapses back toward the 20th century, but mostly things aren't the same anymore, and they will continue to be very different in many ways. We have Mars, the planet of stress and tension and competition, in the sign of Taurus, and also Uranus in Taurus. Those two placements relate to the economy and the value of money. And of course, right now under the Biden administration, the economy's improving and things are getting better, but there's still a lot of anger and tension around money, the cost of things, inflation, and that's going to be continuing. Also, Uranus does represent upsets it makes a couple of strong aspects to other planets, particularly one to Neptune, and I think this shows some extreme weather and possibly some seismic activity, earthquake activity, maybe underneath the ocean that might involve something like a tidal wave. We have Jupiter, the philosophy planet in Gemini, which should show many people thinking about their religion, their beliefs, and maybe changing or practicing two religions at once. Remember, Gemini is about duality, and also studies to intellectually understand the deity, the spiritual force around us, could be important. And of course, there's a lot of controversy over prayer and religion being taught or even mentioned in school, and that may continue with this influence in this horoscope. The moon nodes represent the eclipse pattern and where it's falling, and the north node is in the sign of Aries. It's very close to a conjunction with the newly discovered little planet Chiron, which has a lot to do with healing. And I'm thinking that the eclipse pattern with Aries and Chiron involved might involve humanitarian aid against the war crimes around the world, because of course the various wars happening, most especially in the Middle East, but also Ukraine, are very much affecting the quality of life for everyday people, and just housing and food and everything, and concerns about that, addressing new ways of dealing with that, helping the world to heal after all the conflicts, which of course is the ultimate insanity, bombs and wars. That philosophy of life might be shared by other people, with the North Node being in the sign of Aries. Looking at the different zodiac signs, and this will apply mostly to those living in the southeast. Those, if your birth sign is Scorpio, you'll be thinking about your image and appearance in the new season ahead. If you're a Sagittarian, it'll be about money. If you are Capricorn, it'll be about siblings, sisters and brothers and neighbors. If you happen to be an Aquarian, your home, housing, and heritage will be affected. On the summer solstice, if you are a Pisces, it's all about love and children. If you are an Aries, there's an emphasis on health, maybe adopting a new pet. You Tauruses will be thinking about commitments, relationships, and possibly legal matters. Gemini, a strong interest in the spirit world and the afterlife, and also in solving mysteries, puzzling things through. Cancer, you'll be interested in higher education, maybe faraway places, travel. Leo, fame, fortune, success, and career will interest you. You Virgos, you'll be trying to figure out what you want, long-term hopes and wishes, and your social circle might be changing. You might be outgrowing some old club and group affiliations and networking with some new ones. Libras, you're usually the ultimate relationship people and never want to be alone, but that's going to change for you over the summer. The way this chart is affecting your birth sign, you will want some peace, quiet, and privacy, and you might do some quiet acts of good work and charity. In earlier times, fairs, agricultural fairs were very big on Midsummer's Day, when different people would bring garden produce and flowers and animals to sell. And in today's world, there's a lot of interest in flowering plants, growing them as edible plants, and also to just enhance our lives, a reconnection with the earth. Maybe in this digital age, something of us needs that. The wee folk, the little people, the gnomes and mushrooms are really trending now, and we have a leprechaun there because they're always trending. They're peeking and looking on, are very active on Midsummer's Day. Are they real? Well, they appear all around the world in different cultures. They may be, but they could also be the energy patterns around growing things, particularly plants. But there's a sensitivity to those, and one of the most powerful and interesting of the different plants that relate especially to this time of year, the midsummer's day, the summer solstice, is the sunflower. The great yellow face of the sunflower actually follows the light during the course of the longest day and every day. It represents spiritual light as well as courage and strength. The seeds in the center are great in number, and they form a spiral. The spiral motion is something we see in sacred geometry as a sign of life growing to an ever higher level. And the sunflower seeds are extremely healthy. They also are very good as far as making a flour out of them, and they're very good for feeding birds of different types. So there's a lot to do with life. Collect the dried petals of the sunflower to add to incense and potpourri to increase the positive energies of the sun, the giver of all life, light, and heat on our planet here. The seeds are delicious and nutritious in bread, trail mix. They've even been ground as a coffee substitute. And the new flower buds before they open have often been pulled and eaten as a vegetable. Sunflower oil is wonderful for cooking. These are the kinds of things that can be very interesting to study about various favorite plants on Midsummer's Day or near that time period. Something many people do is right at noon on Midsummer's Day, they'll have a bowl of water in the sunlight to collect the light, and in the bowl of water might be floating a sunflower or some other blossoms, and then lighting a candle and carefully dropping wax into the cold water and looking at the formation that it makes is a way of telling your fortune for the season ahead. Often this is used by single people looking for love, but it can also be for everybody else as far as wondering, well, it's summer, what does the summer hold? That's actually a very common question from my clients. And if you want to divine that for yourself and not have to worry about having a reading of your chart for the summer solstice, although I do offer those, of course, you can get just some melted wax and a little water and just see what turns up. The last time I did that, I had a clown's shoe appear, and I thought, well, now this is really interesting. But I work with clowns. Sometimes I work at large parties in the tourist corridor here, and I always like the clowns. They have a very great sense of humor and are really interesting people. Everyone is on the convention circuit, but especially clowns. So I think that's what it meant, just as an example. So you might get something other than a clown shoe. You probably will. But that's just an interesting thing to try to see how your summer is going to go. Here are some other ideas about things you can do with a sunflower to enhance the spiritual quality of that experience. Sunflower leaf tea. Chop one large sunflower leaf into pieces and then put it in 1 cup of boiling water and let it steep for 10 minutes and then strain it. You can add a little bit of honey. This makes a very, very healthy tea called a tisane. It's called a tisane because it's made with a fresh plant. And it'll reduce fevers. It's also good as a table tea and overall tonic if you just feel low energy or not quite well. By the way, this is all just offered as a suggestion because, of course, I wouldn't give medical advice, not at all, being a medical professional. But it's a suggestion, and folk remedies and healing of that type is coming back, in a big way because of all the trouble with getting health care in the medical profession. So that said, here's a sunflower health good luck charm. Take the unshelled seeds of the sunflower and thread them with a necklace. And this is really good if you want to hang it in your car, over your bed, or even wear it to enhance health and healing. And so the sunflower seeds, I've done this, are very easy to pierce with a regular sewing needle. And you can use a doubled thread or maybe some wax thread, the type people use to string a bow and arrow. And that is a really lovely charm to make, either as a gift or yourself for health and wellness in the new season ahead if you don't feel like drinking the tea. And there's the sunflower bath of happiness. If you have a bathtub, this is great. If you don't, you can just use a foot bath of some type. Take a handful of the sunflower petals and add them to hot bath water. And then you can float in the summer sun and in the bath if you have an outside tub, or you can just be very careful to put a strainer so you don't plug up your bathtub. Don't send me the bill if you do that, because I warned you. But the sunflower bath really works well. It's akin to like the Bach flower remedies, which use the essence of plants and flowers, which are very subtle and yet very powerful. Here are some flowers that are linked with each of the 12 zodiac signs. So you can pick the flower to add to the sunflower that goes with your sun, moon, and ascendant for even a stronger influence with the flowers. The tulip goes with Aries for imagination and perfect love. Taurus has the iris for eloquence and wisdom. If you are a Gemini, try a rose for charms and beauty and innocence. Cancer has the lily, which is good for persuasion and purity. Leo especially owns the sunflower, which we've talked about, but also the gladioli for pride and courage. Virgo, your flower is the morning glory for persistence and expression. Libra, it's the pansy for friendship, knowledge, and relief from loneliness. Scorpio, the exotic orchid, is your flower, and this is for refinement and elegant beauty. Sagittarius, try the jasmine. This is for quality and desirable associates, traveling with a good crowd. Carnation is the flower for Capricorn. It's energy, success, and financial security. For Aquarians, the snowdrop, which of course is the first flower to pierce through the snow early in the spring, and it represents hope and inspiration, but it's very hard to get the rest of the year. And so small white flowers like baby's breath and small daisies, and also jasmine flowers can be a good substitute for the Aquarians. Lastly, we have Pisces. The violet is your flower, and it represents dignity and gentleness. There are some alternative definitions for flowers. You can experiment with others, but that gives you an idea for how to make the most of the spiritual and intellectual energies that will be peaking on this day of greatest sunlight. And do watch for the little people, the wee folks. There are many reports and poems about them appearing at the solstices and equinoxes, and maybe they're here to offer us some help in coping with the complexities of what Pluto and Aquarius is bringing. I'm Dikki Jo in Orlando, Florida, wishing you a bright and beautiful start to the summer. And those of you who are astrologers, look at the horoscope that's posted here. This shows the planets for Orlando, Florida. If you're outside of the southeast, you'll have to recalculate the chart for your own area. This will be generally good for the southeastern United States because that's where I'm living. But you can redo it, but the rest of the planets will be the same for the correction for the moment around the world. If you ignore the houses and then just look at the planets to your own birth chart, if you're studying astrology, it'll be very revealing on a deeper and more personal level. Enjoy the summer, and I may see you again in the autumn for an autumn equinox update.
Thank you for watching this video. Contact information for Reverend Dr. Dikki Jo Mullen are as follows. Her email address has recently changed, templetoncat13@gmail.com. Facebook, Sky Maiden Musings, her website, which offers daily meditations and other information regarding her work and her YouTube channel address. Reverend Dr. Dikki Jo Mullen, astrologer, psychic, and parapsychologist. Dr. Mullen provides astrology, psychic, rune, and tarot card readings. She also conducts face-to-face and Zoom readings and seances, webinars, and face-to-face presentations.